Hey, hello everyone. Namaste. I had already shown in two previous videos the buyer registration process and the seller registration process on the LocalBid mobile app. Now I will show you how to use once the registration is complete from both buyer and seller perspective. I have opened LocalBid app on two separate mobile phones where LocalBid mobile app is already installed, and what you see here is the buyer home screen, and what you see here is the seller home screen. This particular seller is registered for electronics items category under products, and both are in nearby location. Both buyer and seller are in the nearby location. So you can, as a buyer, you can add additional locations using the icon here. You can tap on the icon and add additional locations if the initial location that you registered it is different from, or if you want to search for a different location, or you can by default use the current location. You can change the language using this icon, or you can change any of your profile attributes using this icon. So the tip here shows you can search for multiple items to create a bundle, or you can use the scanner icon to upload list and images directly. So that's how it works. So it is better to be as specific as possible when you search for the item, because LocalBid will fetch that item information from online and show it to you. It will by default display only 5 items from the online list. So being as specific as possible will help you to narrow down. If by default the first search does not give you what you want, you can research again and try to be specific in your filter criteria so that you can hit your specific item. As I have mentioned before, LocalBid does not maintain an inventory on its own, and it does not expect sellers to maintain the inventory. Hence, being as specific as possible will help you as well as sellers to ensure that they can quote for the exact item that you are bidding for. So, since it is the seller is for an electronic category, let me search for an electronic item just for the demo purpose. All right. So I'm clicking on search. So the list is displaying 5 items by default. You can select and you can go through them, and whichever you think is the most nearest match to what you're looking for, you can select one of them. Or if you feel the items are not matching, you can restart your search again. Okay. For the demo purpose, let's assume that one of these items is matching what I'm looking for, and um, it is confirming whether this is what you're looking for. This is the online price that it could see, the app, 67,440 rupees for this particular size. By default, target price will be 25% less than the online price. Basically, target price means as a buyer, you're looking for this particular TV for this price. Now, obviously, these are only reference numbers. It is not mandatory for the sellers to stick to your number, but this is your bargaining chip, right? So you cannot go below 25% of the online price. Just for the sake of this demo, let me say I'm setting it at 51,500. You can add additional notes. For example, if you're buying a phone, or if you are buying a laptop, if you are very peculiar about a color or a size, or when you can go to the shop and collect the item, you can add all of that information here if needed. Okay, so I will say immediate need, right? So here you can see two options: add to a bundle or start send it to bidding immediately, right? So add to a bundle basically means you want, this is one of the items in your list, and if you want to add one more item or more than one item, you can use add to bundle, and then send it to bidding, uh, right? But for the sake of this demo, I will send this one item for bidding as of now. You can also see a note here saying that bidding closes at midnight, because in India, typically sometimes at midnight, some of the GST rules change. So whatever price you may see today may vary tomorrow. So that is the reason, and we cannot keep any bid infinitely. So that's the reason, if any bids that you send do not, if you do not get any bids, or if you do not accept any bids, then that particular item bidding will close at, will expire at midnight. So if you still need that item, then you need to search again and start the bidding process. Or if you have already accepted a bid from the shop, then that bid does not expire at midnight, right? You can still go to the shop the next day and collect it from the shop, right? So let's assume that this is what I'm looking for, and I'm okay with the price that is displayed here. So let me send it for bidding. You know, this is the seller login, and this is the buyer login. As you can see, as soon as it said bidding request sent, the seller got a notification, as well as the seller can see in the active leads tab that somebody is looking for this particular item, right? And you can see under my bids, you can see what you are looking for as well, right? So there are multiple filter options, and as we discussed, open bids expire at midnight, and as I mentioned, online and target price are benchmarks. Seller may bid higher or lower based on the item MRP and what is the current offer, right? So seller will click, as a seller, uh, we're clicking view lead, and whatever note you sent as a buyer is visible for the seller. So seller can look at what you are asking for, and based on the current market and based on the local price, the seller can enter an amount, and seller can give additional offer. Let's say 2 years warranty with service free. Seller can upload the photo of the item that that is in stock at the shop, so that the buyer can know before accepting this particular bid that this is exactly what I need, right? So reserve until means, if you bid for this item, and if uh, basically the seller is bidding for this item, right? So seller is saying that I have this item in stock, and it is available for pickup. So reserve until means, if by any chance this particular buyer is okay with the price that this seller is giving, then the seller is obligated to keep this item for this particular buyer until so and so date and time. Right? Typically, it is only 24 hours, and you can change the time in your seller profile. Right? What is the default? Or you can change the date and time here as well. Okay. So I'm okay with all the details here as a seller, and I'm submitting this offer to the buyer. Basically, seller is saying, I have this item in stock, and this is the MRP that I can give it for. Immediately, buyer got the notification, and you can also see that buyer, the number of bids increased to 1 for the buyer. It was 0 until now. So the buyer can open this particular bid, and buyer can see what is this particular shop offering the particular item for, right? So the seller entered these offer details while submitting the code, so buyer can see it here, and buyer can also see until how long this particular shop can hold the item for me. Okay. So one thing is, this is an example of one buyer and one seller, but once the buyer sent the item for bidding, the notification has gone to all the sellers within the search radius that buyer has set up in his profile, and all the sellers will, some of the sellers who have the item in stock may start bidding for the same item. So this is the reverse auction that is unique for local bid. So you may see multiple sellers responding to the item here, and it is up to you on the offer that the shop is giving to choose what is favorable to you. It can be the distance. In this case, because I'm showing a demo, both the local and buyer are nearby, but it can be based on your profile. Because you have set location radius as 10 kilometers, it can be a shop from 2 kilometers away or 9 kilometers away. Also, the seller can see what is the lowest bid. If another seller has bid for the same item for 64,500, the lowest bid will show 64,500, even though this particular seller is quoting 65,000, right? Let's say the seller wants to update the code based on the computation that he is seeing. So seller will update to 64,000, and seller will update the offer again, right? So you can immediately see the offer updated for the buyer, and buyer says buyer wants to chat with the seller now, right? So buyer wants to say uh, buyer is interested in the offer that seller is making, and buyer see immediately the seller got a notification, and seller can directly click on the notification, or seller can go inside the chat window and he can respond accordingly. All right, so seller is okay with the question that buyer posed, and now the buyer will accept the offer that this particular seller has made. So seller will immediately get the notification, and the status for buyer will say changes bid accepted. Same for the seller. You can click here to navigate to the particular shop, and once you arrive at the shop, you can click on I have arrived at the shop button. it will show a QR code for you, and it will also notify the seller that the buyer has arrived. The seller can directly click on confirm pickup, or seller can use the scan QR code option to scan the QR code that the buyer shows, confirming that this is the buyer, as well as automatically filtering out the item that the buyer has come from. So the buyer is here and the seller sees it, and the seller clicks on confirm pickup, and you can notice, and buyer will immediately get the confirmation that pickup is completed. So a seller can rate the buyer, as well as buyer can rate the seller. All right, and this rating will be visible next time when this particular seller bids for any other item, or when this particular buyer requests for the next item, right? So this kind of completes the transaction for this particular item. So seller can look at his dashboard. A seller has received one bid, he has won that bid, and seller has collected the amount. All right. Seller can change the language. Seller can look at the payment and plans page, all of those details. So this completes the demo on one end-to-end transaction